8th, 2015 meeting of the Brighton Town Board. It's always a pleasure to have you here, whether you're with us in the room or watching us at home, either streaming on the internet or on our cable access channel. We appreciate your participation. We want to make it easy for you to participate in the meeting. We'll be going to our open forum portion of the meeting in just a minute. But first, I'd like to start with a pledge to the flag. And I'll ask Councilmember Louise Novros to lead us. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We hope we won't need this, but in case of an emergency, our town hall emergency alarm system will be activated. There are two exit options, either through the door to my right, turn right, go down the stairs, and out the rear entrance of town hall and away from the building, or through either of the double doors in the rear of this room, out the main front doors of town hall, down the steps, and again, away from the building, if you hear the emergency alarm system. Now, occasionally we do experience technical difficulties during the live cable TV broadcast of this meeting. If you do experience any technical difficulties receiving this broadcast, please call Time Warner at 756-5000. Again, that's 756-5000 for any technical difficulties with tonight's live broadcast on our cable system. Before we go to the open forum, early this morning, about 3 o'clock, there was a serious fire incident on Landing Park in East Brighton. And I'd like to turn things over to Police Chief Mark Henderson, who was at a press event earlier this afternoon. But this was a fire that was very serious, but had it not been for some truly heads-up actions on the part of both fire and police department personnel, could have been much, much worse. Mark, if you could update the community.
Thanks, Supervisor. As you said, a call came in at 3:03 this morning for what appeared and what turned out to be a very heavily involved structure fire with people trapped inside. A neighbor awoke to see the glow of flames, called 911. Working smoke detectors alerted the residents inside the home of the fire. The fire was fast consuming. It was spreading pretty fast. As the officers were responding, we were getting 911 updates from a resident inside on a phone that could not exit the home. What we subsequently learned was there was a 97-year-old female and her 64-year-old daughter who reside at the home. They were trapped inside the residence. Upon arrival, there was a fire truck on scene. In short order, 3 of our police officers arrived on scene, including a supervisor, and I'll name them shortly. A sheriff's deputy also assisted, and firefighters were starting to arrive on scene. Officer Michael Romack and Officer Brad Steve heard the screams, went to an area of the home, were able to locate what turned out to be the 97-year-old female in a back bedroom. They broke out a window and were trying to extricate the victim through the window. The windows were an older style. They were kind of small. The officers were having some difficulty. Firefighter Chad Orioli arrived on scene. The officers were able to lift Officer Orioli into the residence through the window. Firefighter Orioli was then able to hand out the 97-year-old female to the waiting officers. 2 of the officers pulled her to safety. Firefighter Orioli did some tremendous work in locating the daughter inside. This fire was rapid. It was spreading. It was heavy smoke, and in fire terminology, there was heavy fire, a lot of flame. He was able to locate this person, bring her to the window, hand her to the police officers that were outside, including the deputy. They then were able to move her to a neighbor's yard and were able to extricate. They were able to bring out firefighter Orielli through the window. We briefed, Chief McAdam and I briefed the media. There was quite a bit of interest throughout the day. There was some reporting from the scene this morning. I am impressed with the actions of the police officers. I am impressed with the action of the firefighters. We use the term interoperability, collaboration, cooperative. We all work together. Our staff work together. I actually have the paperwork here. I am putting the officers, the firefighters, and the deputy in for life-saving recognition and distinguished service. That'll come at a later date. But I'd like to take a moment to identify who from the Brighton Police, who from the Brighton Fire Department, and identify the deputy. Sergeant Allison Laubacher, many of you may recall, Allison was recently promoted to the rank of sergeant. She works our overnight shift. She was the command officer in charge. She was on scene. She assisted with operations. Officer Michael Romack, Officer Brad Steve. I'll get back to Michael and Brad in a moment because those names may sound familiar and there's a reason why. Officer Richard Kazakowski played a role in this. Officer Kazakowski, the window was 6 foot off the ground. They had to use some leverage, and they actually used Officer Kazakowski as that leverage to get some people in. Deputy Billy Connell from the Sheriff's Office, a firefighter, volunteer firefighter who was working A-Zone, our adjoining area last night, he responded to the scene. And Brighton firefighters, Chad Orioli and Dennis Jeffries, they just did a tremendous job. You know, it was a matter of minutes. Had these officers not done what they did at that time, we would be talking about a double fatal fire and a tragedy. But it's because they worked together as a team. You know, everyone did their job. If you look at some of the media accounts, firefighter Orielli talks about a comment that the officer made to him about having his back. He had to take off his protective breathing apparatus because they could not get him into the structure with that on. You've got a building, a structure that's filling with smoke. He went in, you know, he put himself, his training kicked in, he was able to get the residents out. We were able to help him in getting out. The officers were able to help him in getting out. And, you know, unbelievable work. You know, I call all of these that were involved heroes. They are my heroes. It's impressive what I was able to report out today. I thought it's important that I talk to you and brief you about this tonight. Officer Michael Romack, Officer Brad Steve, this may sound familiar. It occurred there was an incident last May on Monroe Avenue where a house was with heavy smoke and heavy fire, and Officer Romack and Steve were the first on scene. They broke a window and were able to bring a person out of the burning structure through a window. So great collaborative effort, great interoperability, and some very good work that resulted in the saving of 2 lives this morning in Brighton.
Thanks. I know you're in the police business and not directly the fire business, but any thoughts, any tips, any reminders for the community that you'd like to share?
I talked about the need, and it is a life-saving need for working smoke detectors. The Brighton Fire Department, through their social media, is getting that message out. That clearly was at work today. You had some notification to the residents. The causality, the cause and origin is under investigation. If we learn what caused this fire to move as quickly as it did, we'll report out. But that's still currently ongoing. The Monroe County Fire Bureau and the Sheriff's Fire Investigation Unit they have the investigation. It'll take some time to figure out what caused, but clearly the smoke detector saved lives.
And so do people making 911 calls.
The neighbor.
Not trying to think about whether they ought to do it.
You know, I was not on scene. Captain Klein responded from a command perspective, and I thank him for that. I did talk to the officers who were describing their approach to the scene. There was that ominous glow in the sky that this was not a normal fire, and that as soon as they turned onto Blossom, they could see the fire coming up from one of the side streets. This was not your normal. Not that any fire is normal. Every fire has the potential for moving quickly. This one moved quickly. The fire was escaping the home, and they knew because the 911 dispatcher had direct communication inside the residence. And then when the officers were there, they could hear through the window there was somebody on the other side of that. So my hat's off to the police officers, the firefighters, and Deputy Connell for the actions that they did. They're deserving of credit. They are being recognized across the spectrum in the media tonight. I hope to formally recognize them at our award ceremony, which we believe will be next month. But my hat's off, and I'm proud to be affiliated with them.
I share that. Kudos. Once again, it really shows how our various public safety services, although separate in name, and I said that, somewhat intentionally, that, the chief of police you think of as a police guy, and that's different from being a fire guy or a firewoman. But our agencies work together. And what I have seen, and I was not on the scene either this morning, but I have seen the agencies working together in severe incidents. They work together hand in glove seamlessly. They did that today. As you indicated, we have people who are involved in more than one area. We have law enforcement, in the Brighton Department and in the Sheriff's Department, who are themselves firefighters. So you have those broad arrays of skills that they bring to the scene, and they bring them out alive. And it was extraordinary work.
Tremendous work.
It was. Do you want to, since I've got you going here, do you want to just talk briefly? We finished the Citizens Police Academy.
We
this
did
past
finish
week.
the Citizens Police Academy. We have a very proud, a couple of graduates here. Supervisor, our last night there, we talked about the interplay between local government. The police department works for the town of Brighton, and you had mentioned that we have these open meetings, and you invited. Well, at one time we had 26 participants. Through attrition and some commitments, we had a total of 23 graduate. We have 2 people here that took you up on that offer. You can tell from the smiles, Rennie is very happy to come to the town board. So we promised it'll be a really brief meeting and it won't last till midnight, right, Supervisor? Is that what we promised?
Absolutely, and I do want to thank you both, but really everybody that participated in the academy. Of course, this year we had Sergeant Skip Brusda leading the course, but whichever one of our officers has done it over the past years, we've gotten great reviews. I know we'll be doing it again next year. This year we had a business owner participate, and I think that was a nice addition. We certainly welcome that, and since we're doing nothing but talking police, I'll just mention, although it's primarily geared towards business and commercial property owners, all are welcome. Mark Henderson will be right here in Town Hall on the 16th, April 16th, a week from tomorrow at 7 p.m. to discuss, again, largely with the business community, but all are welcome, public safety issues in, very much a one-on-one sort of forum. It's an event that the town is sponsoring with the Brighton Chamber of Commerce. So everyone is invited, and it will be down in our downstairs meeting room right below us.
Great.
And
Thanks,
thank you for
Supervisor.
doing that, Mark. Okay, now let's get to the open forum portion of the meeting. As always, the open forum is an opportunity for people to address the town board on any matter, whether or not it's on our agenda this evening. We do not have any public hearings on our agenda this evening, but I will recognize members from the audience who wish to speak during the open forum. When recognized, please come on up to the podium. If you would, please state your name and address and your question or your comment. Please be courteous and try to keep your comments as concise as possible. If you have written comments, we welcome your submission to our town clerk, and he will add them to our record of this meeting. Now, we also, if you are watching at home and would like to call in with a question or a comment, we welcome that as well. Our telephone number is 303-3060 to call in with your question or comment during the open forum. As always, if we can answer it, we will. If not, we'll try to get back to you. We also have a TDD line For deaf and hearing impaired callers, the TDD number is 784-5205. Again, TDD is 784-5205. We do welcome your comments and your questions, and I'll now open up the open forum. Would anybody like to address the board this evening in the open forum? Okay, hearing none, then we'll move on with the business portion of the agenda. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Supervisor Maley?
Aye. Motion to approve and file town board meeting minutes for our meetings held on February 25th, March 11, and March 25, 2015.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on those? Please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Supervisor Maley?
Aye. Communications. Can I have a motion to receive and file our communications?
So moved. Second.
We have several communications, pro and con, regarding the proposed Clover Lane redevelopment project. I do just want to mention very briefly, just to give the community an update. We'll try to keep people posted, even when there's nothing on the agenda. As you'll recall, the town board referred the matter to the planning board in March. The planning board at its March meeting discussed the project. They are preparing an advisory report back to the town board. After we receive that advisory report, we'll review it. If there are any recommendations for any additional documents or data, we'll discuss that with the developer. And only after we have any of that necessary information will we proceed to consider calling a public hearing to consider the project. And at that point, there will be a very full and robust opportunity for people to be heard concerning that project. So that's where we're at on that project, but we did get a number of letters on that. We also, Mark, have a retirement of one of our long-term
We do.
officers.
We have received notice that Officer Scott Corey he's intended to retire. He's a 20-year veteran with the Brighton Police Department. Scott's done an outstanding job, and we wish him well in his future endeavors.
Absolutely. Thanks, Mark. We have a motion to receive and file those communications. Any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Supervisor Maley?
Aye. Committee reports. Parks, Recreation, and Community Services. Louise.
Yes. I typed up a real good report, and I left it on my desk. So let me see if I can remember. We had a meeting this last Monday, and Becky Cotter told us about that the new brochure is out, and people can sign up for courses online or come into the Recreation Department. The summer courses are being offered. Matt Beeman from the Parks Department said that the lodge at the town park has been completed as far as the renovations. They have a new kitchen and new bathrooms and floors, and the Buckland Lodge has new floors, and they all came in under the bid, and they're really pleased with how they turned out. The fields are being set up. They are taking the goals when you play soccer, then the larger goals, and they're making them permanently into the ground because people move them around when they have pickup games, and then it's difficult to get them back where they belong.
And also because of safety issues. If those large nets tumble over, they can very seriously hurt or even kill some of our younger players.
Becky was also saying that they have, that the person who's in charge of the senior program is leaving, and they have come to the decision of a new person, and she will be starting, I believe, she said the 20th of May.
No,
April.
she'll be starting in April.
April
Very
20th.
soon.
And and we hope everything works out fine. The, what else would, the baseball, opening day of baseball is going to be the 2nd of May, and the parade will start from here again, and everybody's welcome to line up on Elmwood Avenue and see the parade and all the kids and all the teams. And Larry David, who's head of it, told me my chariot is waiting. His wife has a convertible, and I get to ride in it. So I said, fine, that's good. Let's see, what else? Do you remember?
There was a discussion about a number of just issues relating to the operation of the committee itself, and it was a good
Yes,
and
and this is-
robust discussion.
And it's going to continue next time, and just to see if we're still addressing the relevant issues and how we are getting information back to the town. So it's been a very good discussion. As far as, there was somebody there, there's always somebody there from the library, and she was saying the library programs are very, very well attended. And on April, I don't have it in front of me, there's going to be an award ceremony, a literary award ceremony for the middle and high school kids. And it's always fun to go to those and to hear their poems and their short stories and see how teenagers think. Sometimes it's rather frightening, but they do some really beautiful work. They have movies coming, and they have a Legos club, and it's just, if you get one of those little yellow brochures that the library puts out, or go online, it's amazing the programs that they have for everybody, for all age groups. The school is represented, and Mona is there from Continuing Ed, and their brochure is out. Everybody got it in the mail, and so it's time to sign up for courses through the school as well. As far as I'm concerned, I just want to remind you again about all the recycling events that are coming up. On the 25th of this month, we're having the pharmaceutical take back again. On the 16th of May, we're having clean sweep. The response has been very, very good. I have requested neighborhoods to try to get the people in the neighborhoods to clean up around their neighborhoods as well as just the main streets. And so far, I think we have about 7 neighborhoods that are willing to do that. And then on the 30th of May, we're having the electronics and the shredding. And I guess I'm known as the green person, the queen of green, I call it. I'm getting calls from other organizations who are trying to do that type of thing and asking me how to do it and so forth. And so I think that all of Brighton is becoming very, very conscious of recycling and saving our environment.
Thank you.
Our next meeting is the 27th of April.
Excellent. Chris, Finance.
Finance met bill on last Tuesday. Various matters are on tonight's agenda. In addition, we discussed a contract extension for the assessor's software, and we tabled that for further discussion when the assessor could be present. Also, the New York State Department of Transportation Snow and Ice Control, we're looking to get more information regarding salt prices and contract dates to be verified, so that will be taken up at our next meeting. And also the renewal and amendment of the yard waste processing services at the town landfill, and the question of the appropriate terms for that processing, which in the past we've had to pay for, but most recently the contractor has been paying us, and the question is whether that remains economically viable. But the next meeting will be Tuesday, April 14th, beginning at 2 o'clock, where we will have presentation from the auditors and then continue on to our regular meeting here at the stage conference room behind us, and the public is invited to attend.
Thanks, Chris. And again, I just want to note the special time, earlier time for this meeting. We know the Finance Administrative Services Committee normally meets at 3:30. But this next meeting will be at 2 in the afternoon.
Yes.
For that auditor's report. Thank you, Chris. Public Safety, Jason?
Yes, the Public Safety Committee has not met since our last regular town board meeting. Our next regularly scheduled meeting will be next Tuesday. It'll be April 14th. We meet in the lower level community meeting room at 8 o'clock in the morning, and the public is invited to attend.
Thank you very much. Jim, Public Works?
Public Works Committee meeting met just yesterday, and at that time, we covered a number of items. First one under old business was the discussion of the Monroe Avenue, streetscape that we're going to be commencing this year. The town will be hosting the final project public information meeting on Tuesday, May 12th. That's Tuesday, May 12th. It'll be right here in the auditorium from 4:30 to 7:30. As in the past, this will be an open house style format with the Department of Public Works staff here and our consultant present to answer any questions anyone might have. The town highway forces will begin construction work this spring as soon as the seasonal conditions permit. I think we're projecting hopefully in the May timeframe sometime, Ted?
The only thing we're waiting on right now, Jim, is our New York State DOT permit. So we have to have that in hand
Yeah.
first. We expect that to come back at any time. So, work could start before the end of the month even. So,
All right.
We got a lot of work to do, and I hope we do.
Yeah. Under new business, representatives from Anthony J. Costello and Son, their reserve project provided an overview of the most recent amended incentive zoning request, which proposes to modify the types of housing stock and location of the condominiums in the project. This matter is on tonight's board agenda for further discussion. And then the next item was an update on the Winfield Park proposal that was provided by Buckingham Properties and Pridemark Homes and BME, their architect. It is the developer's intent to re-engage this project as progress has been made with the RG&E relative to the provisions of service to the site. I want to stop right here and make a comment. This is a project that has been held up, not by any fault of the developer, but on the part of the provider for the power services, gas and electric, that should be provided to a development of this size. Our problem here, in my opinion, is that the ownership and control of our utility in this county, in this area, I should say, the five-county area, is now controlled out of Madrid, Spain, not out of Rochester. You got to remember, Iberdrola acquired, the RG&E utility company, and as a consequence, my feeling is there's a real long delay reaction to any request, and so it seems. It's not like the RG&E of old that we remember. It's not that we have bad people running the company, it's just that the response on this is just lagging. And here's a good example where the development on the part of the developer here, progress on the part of the developer has been impeded by the absence of the availability of the power and the provisions that should be there to move a project like this forward. Any other comments on that one before I move on?
Well, I certainly agree, Jim. This is a project that is still in the review stages, so it has not been approved, but because the ability to supply power is a part of the environmental review process. A year and a half ago, in fact, longer than that, really, the developer became aware that the power supply was going to be an issue. It has held up the final environmental impact statement. We've worked on the draft environmental impact statement. We've accepted it as complete and ready for final review, but because they can't get through that hoop, I don't understand it. We have a monopoly. They're in the business of providing power, and as you may have seen, there was litigation brought by a developer related to a project in Henrietta. It's the same issue, that this area of town straddling Brighton Henrietta Town Line Road on both sides of the border, there is a power supply issue. It relates in part, at least, to the major transmission line project in the western part of the county. But you're right, Jim. Out-of-town control, I think, has made it more difficult. Once we're at that point, we will be able to resume the environmental review. And once the environmental review is complete and a findings statement issued, we will then get into the substantive review of the incentive zoning application itself, again, with public hearings.
Why New York State, and this is New York State that allowed this to happen, why the state would permit any other nation, any company outside of America to acquire total control of our utilities in any state is beyond me. It's downright, in my opinion, dopey. You know, there's no other way to talk about it. I mean, it was a power grab as far as I'm concerned, but I don't,
Unintended.
I blame our own state for allowing this to happen, so. Moving right along, the next item that we covered under the Public Works Committee was the basic review of the town street maintenance program for this year. The Department of Public Works staff advised the committee of the year's list for all the planned street work, which will begin in May. And the first one, what you're going to see, will be on Highland Avenue from Hemingway west to South Clinton Avenue. And that will receive curbing and sidewalks along the south side, in other words, the Brighton side of Highland Avenue, which will provide a much safer pedestrian travel in addition to being repaved. Tim, I'm going to ask you to jump in here. We've got a pretty aggressive list of roads in the town, and we don't need to go through all of that list or that litany right now, but I think I'd ask you to make a comment about the plan for addressing the issue of potholes and much needed road work that was not in the planning when we looked at this months back.
Jim, you're absolutely right. We had another tough winter. Everyone thought that the winter in 13-14 of what it was 14-15 was probably even tougher. I think the February stretch really put people over the edge, if you want to call it, with a cabin fever. And it was cold. So the good was that there was not a freeze-thaw cycle, so the potholes sort of remained the same, but once it started to warm up, the potholes certainly came to life. And the state, as they did last year, we will be the recipients of some additional of our state aid for our CHIPS funding in the amount of about $30,000 that they have allocated for the severe winter again. We did receive money last year, I think a little bit more than what we received this year, but it's prorated across the state. We will be getting on with the potholes, and fortunately the town roads are not as bad as the state and the county roads, which are where most of the potholes are that people call in and complain about. So we will be out, we should be able to start getting hot mix here within the next couple of weeks. That will make our job a one-time go out and fix it. We're not doing cold patch, so we will be doing that. We'll be doing that aggressively. We will be doing our lawn repair damage as well, now that the weather's finally getting to the point where we can get out there, and we'll be getting some topsoil. So a lot of the wintertime things that occur, we're going to jump on those, and we will be out there doing the restoration. So people just please be patient. That's all we can ask. They have been generally very patient all winter considering, and we'll be out there getting those things corrected.
And again, we haven't been able to really address that now because we need to get into warmer weather, as you've said, to effectively address the pothole situation.
Right. The asphalt plants generally don't open till the middle of the month, this month. But once they do, we'll be in there getting hot mix and the areas that aren't slated to be repaired this year, generally, we can do the filling of the potholes, but most of the time we like to get out there if they're big enough with our Bobcat and our milling machine, and we do a better job so they last longer and they shouldn't reappear.
Tim, the phone number that people should call if they want to report a pothole?
Oh, yeah, the pothole, and again, Bill, it's best just to go right over to the Highway Department. Call the main number, 784-5280. There's a dispatcher on. We're actually getting to the point where we don't have the 24-hour dispatcher on because we're moving past the winter season, but if you call, we'll get you on the list, or we'll get that pothole on the list if we don't already have it.
I know we've got a lot of them already,
Yes,
but
we do.
they do keep opening up. Thanks, Tim.
Well, highway maintenance, like our utilities, should be local, just like all politics. I feel badly for the people at RG&E, but their hands are kind of tied the direction comes out of Madrid, Spain, not out of downtown Rochester. So, our next committee meeting will be not Tuesday of the first Tuesday in the month. We're going to have to do it on Wednesday of May, and that'll be May 6th at 9 a.m. in the lower level community meeting room, and the public is invited, because all these committee meetings are all open meetings.
I have a question for Tim for
Sure.
Public Works.
Yeah.
Who do you call, or do you want me to call the state about cleaning up for 390, 490, and 590 against the fences? I was going to send some people to the off ramps for clean sweep. Some of them are not really safe, and but along Clinton, we could send people from clean sweep along Clinton up to the fence, but not on the other side. And I called them a couple years ago to send people out, and I guess prisoners do it. I'm not sure.
That varies, Louise, but you're asking the right question, because on the local roads, and with your clean sweep program, which is great, but to try to do something like that on the interstate with the normal run-of-the-mill, volunteers would probably not be well received by the state, nor would it be really that safe. It's best done either by state crews, or, as you have said, a great use for putting some of the inmates to work under supervision would be a much better way to do that. The state themselves, sort of going back to what Jim has said about how RG&E is not the RG&E it used to be, funding for that type of activity is really not, I don't think, in the state's budget for them to send a crew out to do it. So yeah, it is something that if we can find better ways to do that, such as the inmates, or in locally with the clean sweep, which is great, because I think that just adds so much value to the town. Getting the, particularly after the wintertime, getting things spruced up is great. So I don't have a good answer on that for you from the standpoint. I don't think the state has any program in effect to do that unless they are using inmates.
And I'll let the two of you discuss that further offline.
That would be beneficial.
Thanks.
Bill.
Anything else on any of those committee reports? Then we'll move to new business. Reading and approval of the claims. Chris.
Bill, tonight I've read through claims totaling $224,917.06. Those that caught my eye were manhole magnets for $1,500. I didn't know we had such things, but I guess it's for opening up manhole covers. A Chevy Silverado pickup truck has been replaced for some $36,000. One thing, a 48-inch zero-turn lawnmower is being added to our fleet of equipment for use in the parks, and that's going to enable us to get onto some of the fields, particularly this spring, where we anticipate some quick growth of grass in between the regular contract cuttings. I think that's going to be quite helpful. Also, a walk-behind vacuum for the porous concrete that we're going to be putting down, and we have already put down. That's a new piece of equipment for some $2,500, but the two major items that came to my eye again, $27,000 worth of salt. I think that's our last load for the year, or at least the payment of the last load. And then the renovations, of course, at the Brighton Town Park Lodge, some $28,000 with materials and so forth. And I understand not only was the kitchen remodeled there, but also because it did come in under budget, our town forces went over and were able to rehabilitate the bathrooms over there as well. So,
And they are much improved. Great job.
So, but I find the claims to be in order, and I move that they be approved for payment.
Second.
Discussion? Please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Supervisor Maley?
Aye. Jim?
All right, the next item is the receive and file the correspondence from April 1st from Jerry Goldman, attorney for Anthony J. Costello and Son, where they're amending the incentive zoning resolution to the reserve project, and what we want to do is refer that to the planning board for review and preparation of an advisory report. Moving the resolution is prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
We do have representatives from Costello's organization here tonight. Jerry Goldman is here, as well as other representatives. This, as noted, is to refer this latest amended incentive, proposed amendment to the amended incentive zoning approval to make some changes to the project, move units that are currently condominium units out of the loft building into another part of the project, make some other changes. It's a fairly significant change, and one that under our code we refer to the planning board before the town board considers through a public hearing process whether that amendment is advisable. We did get a thorough presentation both at last 2 weeks ago's town board meeting during the open forum, but we also had a pretty thorough presentation during the Public Works Committee meeting yesterday. Does anybody have any comments or any questions
The
for
one
the
thing I
developer?
realized that amongst the maps that Mr. Goldman and the Costello Group provided us, it suggested it'd be helpful to have a map that showed the new suggested townhome units superimposed on the neighborhood that had been single family, and I see that it is attached to the letter, which actually the map dates back to the mid-March. So thanks. That is helpful to see the rendering.
So again, this motion would refer the matter to the planning board for an advisory report. Any further discussion? I'm looking forward. I think we'll have a lot to talk about when it does come back to the town board. Deanne, please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Supervisor Maley?
Aye. Chris?
Next item, Bill, was reviewed at the FAST meeting. It's to authorize an amendment to the 2015 budget to appropriate an insurance reimbursement received in the amount of $4,768.65. I move that we adopt the resolution as prepared by the attorney for the town.
Second.
Discussion?
This is simply to receive in monies that we got on an insurance claim for damage to a vehicle.
Anything further? Please call the roll.
There's probably more incoming on this one, too. They found some more damage, so it's still at the shop, so there'll
Oh,
be
boy. Okay.
more subrogation claims coming.
Okay.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Supervisor Maley?
Aye. Jason?
Yes, the next matter is to authorize the supervisor to execute supplemental agreement number 2 to provide additional funds from the New York State Department of Transportation Marchicelli Funding Program for the Corwin Road Bridge Preventive Maintenance Project. I move we adopt the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
Tim, just a quick update on why we have some more money?
Yes, sir. Supervisor, as we discussed at Finance Committee, the Marchicelli funds are there at the state, and they, if available, they are allotted for local projects. And this is the balance of what was budgeted for our project. So this is receipt of the final payment, which again helps us offset our local costs.
Is there something further that's going to be done to the bridge?
Well, we still have not found a source of funds to restore the upper decorative historic parts of the bridge. This is all related to really the structural improvements to the lower portion of the bridge that were actually completed some time ago. We do hope still, because it is a beautiful bridge over Grass Creek in East Brighton, and you know, it really is lovely, but it's very old. It's pushing 100 years old now, and there's only so long there, you know, it's going to deteriorate. So. We have a motion and a second. Anything further? Please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Supervisor Maley?
Aye. Jim?
Next item is to authorize the supervisor to execute an agreement with the lowest responsive and responsible bidder Joe Johnson Equipment Company to provide one street sweeper for the Brighton Highway Department. I move in the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
We, through our capital improvement plan, we had planned to replace this sweeper this year. We replaced another one last year, and both of them now should have a lot of years of good, useful life, and we use them for a variety of duties. They're out now doing some early spring cleanup of the messes along the curbs, but as the highway department gets into the chip sealing, they're an integral part of the chip sealing process with making sure the excess stones get swept up so that we can roll them down into place and get those streets passable very quickly. But so we keep these sweepers for a long time, but it's good to have a new one, and right about where we budgeted to. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel? Councilmember Novros?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Warner?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Louise?
The next matter is to receive and file the proposed amendments to Town Code Solar Energy Systems, along with related negative declarations and Planning Board Advisory Report dated March 18, 2015, and set May 13, 2015, as a public hearing date for the same. I move on the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
I have a question about that.
Sure.
I read in the paper yesterday, I believe, that there's proposals out there for I think they're federal proposals, to start taxing solar panels. I wonder if anybody else has read about that.
I did not see that. I don't know that it changes our desire to, amend our code so that, that residents have a clear direction as to what they have to do to install them. But, that could have the potential to affect the economics of them.
I'll look into that.
Yeah. Yeah. You'll see more and more of them popping up in town on everything from homes to the Chabad at the 12 Corners. The Chabad has solar panels, and it's great to see so many different.
Huge.
Right.
At our ITA, I think it was.
But I'm talking about Brighton.
Yeah. Well, okay. Lots of people.
But Bill, I know the Sustainability Committee had suggested that we look at this and particularly have some sort of criteria for planning and for permitting them that we thought that might encourage the greater use of solar, as well as from our town government standpoint, controlling what they're going to look like and how they're going to be implemented. But
and making sure, for example, when they go up on a roof, there's a weight issue. We want to make sure that the people's roofs can support them.
But the thought was, rather than leave it general, to have some specific criteria that would actually promote people's use of solar energy as well, from the sustainability standpoint.
Okay, we got a motion and a second. Further comments, discussion? Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio? Councilmember Warner?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Louise?
The next matter is to authorize the supervisor to execute an agreement with Young Explosives to provide fireworks display for the 2015 4th of July celebration. I move on the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
Again, with Young Explosives, that has been doing great fireworks on the 4th for many, many years. Dan, please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Warner?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Chris?
Bill, the next item is to approve a solicitation of candidates to fill an open laborer position in the Highway Department recently vacated due to a retirement. I move that we adopt the resolution as prepared by the attorney for the town.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Warner?
Aye.
Supervisor Mealy?
Aye. Jim?
Next item is to approve a renewal of a mowing contract with Woodgate Landscaping to provide mowing of various town facilities, with an amendment to include additional services in the Kirk Astor Park District. I move in the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
Those additional services will relate to this is near along 441, the Kirk Astor neighborhood, the Korean War veteran garden and memorial that's there. Our great Korean War veterans are aging out. They're just not in a position to provide the landscape maintenance work any longer, so it's going to be picked up as part of the Kirk Astor Park District.
And we appreciate Mr. Weller's reporting to us from that neighborhood. He's a resident there, and he's the one who suggested some of these additional services.
Due diligence, yeah.
We have motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros? Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Supervisor Manley?
Aye. Louise?
The last matter is the approval to declare a 2004 Chevy Impala automobile assigned to the Recreation Department as surplus and authorize its disposal through the municipal auction. I move on the resolution as prepared by the attorney to the town.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros?
Aye.
Councilmember DePonzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Supervisor Manley?
Aye. Matters of the supervisor, the quarterly expense and revenue report for the first quarter of 2015. Suzanne, if you could update us and the community on how we're doing financially.
Okay, well, still pretty early in the year, actually, but the 2015 operating budget, which consists of the highway, library, and general fund, provides for $24,321,195 in net appropriations. And this is offset, balanced by our tax levy, which has been fully collected, $14,444,815. We've appropriated fund balance and reserves. We anticipate in an amount of $1,415,000, and then the balance of $8,460,360 comes from remaining revenue sources. And of those revenue sources, other revenue sources, almost 50% of them comes from sales tax and mortgage tax. We're estimating in 2015 to receive $3,198,380 in sales tax and $827,500 in mortgage tax. As I said, we're kind of early on in the year, so our first sales tax payment we expect to get in May, and our first mortgage tax payment in June. So at this point, we're not sure how we're doing trending against our budget estimates. The remaining $4.4 million in budgeted revenues coming from other sources such as departmental income, intergovernmental charges, state aid, pilots, property tax interest, and interest income. With regards to our expenditures of the $24.3 million that I mentioned was appropriated in the 2015 budget, just over $18 million, or 75% of it, relates to wages and benefits for active and retired employees. As of March 31st, or 1/4 of the year so far, we've spent 22% of our full-time and part-time wages, which is right on track. We budget, of course, exactly for our workforce. And overtime, we've spent 38%, or $148,000 of the $383,000 budgeted in overtime. Of concern with our overtime, though, is in our snow and ice control. We've spent all of our $115,000 that we budgeted due to the harsh winter, and hopefully this winter season's over, but we still have the balance of the year to go. So we'll take this into consideration as we look at expenditures and revenues throughout the year, but it's also the reason why we have fund balance. And we have unreserved fund balance in the highway fund right now of about $1.4 million. The 2015 budget as amended for employee benefits is $6.6 million, with $3.2 million of that relating to medical and dental insurance for active and retired employees. And we've made 4 of our 12 monthly payments, which would be 33%. We've spent 31%, just under $1 million. So we're right on track with our budget there. Another $2.2 million is for the New York State retirement system contributions that the town as the employer is required to contribute into the system. We've spent 25% of that for the first quarter of the year, so we're right on track with that budget. And then the balance in appropriations of just over $6.3 million is made up of contractual expenses, our insurance, equipment outlays, utilities, and debt service. And of that amount, we've either expensed or encumbered just over 50% of it, but not of concern because we actually encumber a lot of our expenditures up front in the beginning of the year, so we don't spend them on other resources. So at this point, aside from looking where overtime's going in the police department, or I mean in the highway department, I think we're doing pretty good, and we'll just continue to monitor that as we go through the year.
Thanks, Suzanne. Yes, it was certainly striking going through your report, how well we seem to be doing tracking our expense items. And then you get to the highway, and obviously we've talked about our personnel costs, which are significant. We've talked about the salt costs themselves, which are also significant. And we do have some salt left in the barn, and hopefully that will help carry us through the fall months. But, when we have a tough winter like this, we do have to keep it in mind as we go forward. We've budgeted our receipts, certainly our tax receipts are fixed. We don't know yet what our sales and mortgage tax receipts will be. Particularly the mortgage tax receipts, tend to be somewhat volatile. So we're going to have to keep a very close eye going forward into the year to make sure that we continue to operate in the sound way that we always have. I'm confident that we will, but I know we're going to have to, anytime we have a tough winter like this, it does have a serious impact on the expense side of the budget. So we'll keep that in mind as we go forward. But thanks for your report, Suzanne. A couple of things that I would also like to talk about here in matters of the supervisor. I got another letter that I wanted to read, partly because it's from one of our students here in Brighton, but this student is really pointing out something that is so important. It's a traffic safety issue, and it's very serious. I'm just going to start reading this. Hi, my name is Heath Ashley, and Heath, I'm a resident of Westfall Road. I am an elementary student at French Road School. When I crossed the street to get on the bus this morning, a car didn't stop, and I almost got hit. It has happened multiple times because people don't watch the stop signs on the bus or pay attention to the speed limit signs. And Heath's letter goes on from there. But I see it, and 99% of our drivers observe the flashing lights on the bus. But please remember, it's not just a bus. That's a bus with our kids in it, our grandchildren in it. It's the law, but more importantly, we are really putting our future at risk when we're in such a big hurry that we think we have to pass these buses. When the lights are first flashing, the yellow lights mean caution. They don't mean speed up so I can get around the bus before the red lights come on, because it means that those red lights are going to be coming on shortly. When the red lights come on, stop, both directions. If it's a 4-lane street like Elmwood, all 4 lanes, you've got to stop. Give the kids enough room to get by. Don't figure that you can get going just because you see a child, get to the curb. There may be more than one child. As long as those lights are on, you may not pass the bus. And as if that isn't enough incentive, the chief advises me that there is an enforcement program, grant-funded, starting up very shortly. Mark, if you
Next
can.
Thursday, actually, and I have the grant here, and I'll put my glasses on. It's called Operation Safe Stop Day. We'll be putting additional patrols out and following areas that have been targeted as being problematic, and we certainly will be putting Westfall Road in that mix. But I agree, this is a safety issue. We've dealt with a number of residents,
And with school bus drivers. We've talked to the school bus drivers over the years. And I do want to read Mark's response back to Heath, because it really does send a message of how seriously our police department takes this. Dear Heath, I'm sorry to learn that you have experienced problems with traffic on Westfall Road. I'm also very concerned to learn that a vehicle passed a stopped school bus and that you were almost hit. We, the Brighton Police Department, will give the area of Westfall Road special attention in an attempt to calm the speeds of the vehicles being driven in that area. We will put out a traffic monitoring device that will let drivers know how fast they are driving as compared to the posted speed limit. I will also ask that our police officers increase their enforcement efforts on Westfall Road in the area of Edgewood Avenue to Evans Lane. The police officers will be issuing tickets to drivers who are exceeding the speed limit. Thank you for taking the time to write me to express your concerns, and this really goes out to the whole community. You may contact me at any time to let me know how things are going. My office phone number is 784-5101, and my email address is mark.henderson@townofbrighton.org. So thank you for getting back to Heath, and I hope everybody's listening. We've talked about this before in terms of some of the neighborhood meetings. We're going out to one of our neighborhoods tomorrow night. Mark and I are going to be discussing some safety issues out there. It's an opportunity to speak one-on-one and let us know what's going on in your neighborhoods, and our police department always has ideas, answers to questions to help make your neighborhood safer. So again, if there are any neighborhoods out there that haven't availed themselves of that opportunity yet, you can use that same phone number to call Mark Henderson, our Chief of Police, at 784-5101, and we'll get something set up. I also want to knock on wood. We don't have any wood here, but that the winter is over. We are going to be moving into our spring lawn and garden debris removal season as of Monday, and I'm going to ask our Commissioner of Public Works, Tim Keefe, to update the community on what that means.
Thanks, Supervisor. We do have the website posted that we will be beginning officially yard debris pickup on Monday, this coming Monday. And we will start, and you can keep tabs on us. We will update the areas we're working in on a daily basis, so we'll give you the area we're working in, and the projected area will be in the following day. So that's usually the best way to keep tabs on how we're progressing, particularly in the first part of the year when there's so much material coming out that we are not on our weekly schedule yet. That usually doesn't happen until we get past Memorial Day. So we're looking forward to getting out there, and as I said, you can set your clocks by some of the activities we have seasonally, and we will be putting things, and again, from a safety aspect, putting things in perspective. Things shouldn't be put in the roadway. They should be set at the edge of the pavement on your yard. We'll try not to damage your yard. Containerize the smaller bundles. It will get collected probably a little more efficiently. I see a lot of things out there that could be fit into a can or a paper bag that could be picked up by our crew with a packer truck versus having our loader crew that is the bulk pickup. So just use things, use your good judgment as to how to best package that, but don't put it in the road for it to be a safety hazard.
Thank you, Tim. Matters of the attorney to the town.
I have none, thank you.
Matters of the clerk.
Nothing tonight.
Matters from the town board members.
Opening day this weekend.
Absolutely. Thank you to our television crew. We appreciate your efforts to get our meetings out to the public at large. And can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Councilmember Vogel?
Aye.
Councilmember Novros?
Aye.
Councilmember DeVanzio?
Aye.
Councilmember Werner?
Aye.
Supervisor Manley?
Aye. Our next town board meeting will be April 22nd at 7 p.m. Have a great evening.